Oh, hey, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the Efficiency Bitch podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Leone. This podcast is dedicated to all the women out there who are aspiring to have a career while raising a family. And bitch? Well, that's more than a name and even an attitude. We use it as an acronym. It's for bank, inbox, time, connection, and harmony. Each episode is labeled according to the correct topic so that you can efficiently find the topic that you're looking for. I'm here to tell you, you can have your cake and eat it too. The trick is finding efficient ways to get through the have-tos so that you can make room for your best life. I can show you how. Let's get started. Hey, Jake, Happy New Year. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too.
How's it going? I'm glad you're back. So we've had Jake on the show before, and I'm really excited to reintroduce you. Why don't you start with an introduction, who you are, where you come from, how you do life?
Yeah, so I'm Jake Marshman with Conquer Ninja Gyms. I'm the founder. We opened our first location in 2015, which is almost 8 years ago now, which is crazy. We built it up now to we're a franchise company, selling franchises, and we also have corporate locations from the upper Midwest to down here in the Phoenix area. And then we're expanding out into other states, Florida, and the West Coast. Essentially, we're in the works with some out there. So we're in the process of building the brand, building our gyms, and I'm in Phoenix now, so that's kind of how we're here.
Very cool. So I met Jake during 2020 pandemic. My kids were attending the Conquer Ninja Gym's obstacle courses on a regular basis. My kids were very little at the time. Now they're very old, but 2 years later. But they just absolutely adored it. And so I really appreciate you coming back on. I think you were one of my first podcast guests back when I started. Yeah, so I'm so happy to have you come back. And you're such a great expert for this topic. We're going to talk about inbox and time management a little bit. We're going to kind of put the I and the T together because there's a lot that goes in to doing what you do, but not just from the business side, but as a ninja, right? Like you train and you practice and you compete, but then also to put together this incredible business. And if you're listening to this and you don't know a lot about franchising, it's one thing to build a business. It's another thing to build a franchise chain. It is quite a complicated process. And you've done it. So congratulations. That's quite the accomplishment. But no, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, full disclosure, I haven't done it by myself. I have a good team. I have a good business partner. So it does take a team. But
Yep. It does take a team. That's for damn sure. I could not do my business without my partner. That is for sure. And truth be told, I couldn't do my life without my husband either. So you're right. But take the credit, Jake. You deserve it.
All right. Yeah. I do.
So how'd you get into ninja? I don't know. How do you say it? What's the right
it's Ninja
terminology?
Warrior, basically. So for people that aren't familiar with it, it's what we do is build gyms that are similar to the show American Ninja Warrior. So it's themed off of that. Not necessarily themed, but we train adults, train kids to either compete on the show or just get better as youth, working physically and mentally, both with our obstacles and part of what our brand is building around culture as well. So they're not only learning whether you're a child, adult, family. It's not just about the obstacles, but it's also about life skills as well. So that's part of what our whole mission is. But originally, when I started out the first location in Minnesota, I was into fitness then, and I was part of other just traditional gyms and worked at other traditional gyms. Then I branched out. Full disclosure, I am an entrepreneur before I did the gym, so it wasn't my first business I ever tried.
Yeah.
But on the business side, if you're going to try a business, be prepared to fail because it happens. Unless you have a stellar team already and you hit a surprisingly awesome niche. This case, I think I did hit a pretty good niche. And it was in the very beginning of just Ninja Gyms starting. And so I did get a little lucky there, I think. But when I originally did the first one, I wanted to do something that actually was geared around fitness, and it was actually fun, and it was something that encompassed everybody, whether it's a family, adults, or kids. And it kind of took off from there. So I envisioned doing these obstacles, and it quickly geared in. I just built it around doing all ninja obstacles and variation of obstacles, and it took off from there.
That's awesome. So what have you learned along the way with time management and inbox management? How are you doing all these things in multiple states at the same time, different partners?
Right. Yeah. So, from 2015 was the original location, which we've now had redone because it was outdated. And we look back, it's a pretty crude gym, but now it's updated and better. So each gym that we build, we try to improve on it. But with that said, part of, and now, like you're saying, now I'm down in Arizona a lot, especially in the winter, because it's just terrible in Minnesota in the winter, especially this year.
You and half the rest of the population of Arizona shows up here in the winter.
Well, honestly, I normally don't drive down here, but I drove down on Christmas Day, actually. And it was so cold in the whole US. I was almost to New Mexico before it got into the teens.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it was so cold. Yeah. And so the whole upper Midwest is just an ice box, but I think it's warmed up now. But anyway, yeah. So with the traveling and not only do I have the businesses and staff that we're always working with and managing, I do have a family, and they were down here over Christmas break as well, but they flew down and they flew back now. But yeah, it's a lot of time management that goes into just really making sure you are moving forward with your day-to-day stuff, your weekly stuff, and or your yearly goals, and tasks that have to happen. One of the things we did at Conquer was we actually updated our email system, which everybody has email. However, it is kind of getting to the point where email is getting to be older news, or text messaging, instant messaging, and different apps that allow better communication are starting to gain more popularity. However, company-wide, family-wide, we still use email. But with that said, one of the problems we had was our old system got updated to Outlook, and I hadn't used Outlook in, I don't know, 10 years, and half my staff had. So it's like, okay, now we just regressed like 5 years, because we're all like, okay, now
how do you use this?
Yes, how do we use it? And it's a great tool, and I'm not plugging it. I'm just saying it updated and changed. And so one of the things I would recommend, if things like that happen, is you actually take the time, take 5 hours out of your week or 10 hours out of your week, whatever it is, and learn it. Like, don't just wing it and go, I'll learn it as I go, because that might take a year, and you realize you waste half your time on things that it's one click away. And it's very inefficient.
Yeah.
Because these systems are built on efficiency, and if you just take the time to learn them, it's a game changer.
Yeah, now, I completely agree.
Yeah. With that said, I've probably only put 5 hours into it when I need to put 10, but nobody's perfect. But that is one thing I would recommend to anybody when you're learning a new app. And this is what personally or professionally, is take time to actually read the fine print and learn some of the stuff rather than just like, well, I'll learn it as I go,
Yeah.
which that's, I feel like a lot of people just do that.
Yeah. Well,
and
you always want to do what's easiest, right? And
Right.
sometimes when you do something like upgrade an email platform, you just think you need it for the emails. But Outlook is
Right.
really powerful. And there's to-do lists and there's calendars and there's,
Right.
I mean, gosh, the list goes on and on and on. I can't even
Right.
describe them all. But you're right. If you don't know what you don't know, you may be
Exactly.
doing things the hard way for a very long time. I tease my mom quite a bit because I bought her an Amazon Alexa, which I love. It's one of my favorite robots. There's one right behind me. If I say her name too loud, she might start talking to us.
Well, right.
But she only listens to it for music or uses it for music. And I said, like, you could put your grocery list on there. You could set up routines and you can turn on the lights. And there's so much that you can do with technology that I think that's really good advice. So many people just want to plug and play, and that's not always the answer.
Well, it is. And it's like, and most of the email systems out there, and I'm not just talking about Outlook, but like if you use Google, Gmail, utilize the tools in there, utilize the efficiency of it.
Yeah.
Not to plug you, I guess, but like,
we always are plugging me.
And that's one thing from a time management standpoint. Stop. Sometimes you just need to stop, take a step back, and better understand the situation. And in this case, I'm talking about email. Understand it better, utilize it to the best of its ability or your ability. And even if it's one thing, like using the notes, I'm not even sure what it's called in there, but that's one less thing you need to write down. However, I still use the notebook when I'm traveling around.
You still like the old way.
Well,
Jake, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you've not read my book because you're not an ambitious woman, but
I have not. I actually wanted to once I booked this, but
then you didn't.
I didn't put it in my task.
You're going to have to do that right now. Go put it in your tasks. However, one of the things I talk about is make the time today so that your life is easier tomorrow, right? Absolutely. And it's so easy to just blast through things. Like, kind of the main concept of the book is fall in love with your future self and make sure that everything you're doing today, whether it's reading the manual on how to use your new shiny tool or setting yourself up for tomorrow's tasks, like that's it. That it's so simple too. It really doesn't have to be that complicated in order to be very efficient in your time management and your inbox management. So those are really helpful tips for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And that you just brought something up, reading a manual. I don't know how many guys are listening, but this pertains to everybody. You get a new tool, whether it's because what I do is build gyms.
Yeah.
Not just the business, but actually hands-on building gyms. New tools. They are getting updated. They have smart features. Like, this is part of what I have to work with my guys that help me build is like, whoa, slow down, learn the tool because they're actually more efficient or they're better and they last longer if you actually read the manuals. And that is not from the construction background. Most guys don't do that. They pull it out of the box, plug it in and go. And then wonder how to change the blade and take 20 minutes, a month later trying to change a blade when they haven't read the manual. But
yeah, it's those little things, right, that can really go a long way. And it's really good advice, Jake. I'm really glad you came on the show. Before we run out of time, I want to make sure that you tell us how to connect with you. Where's the best place for everyone to reach you or see what you've been up to?
Yeah, so Conquer Ninja Gyms. On social media, just look up Conquer Ninja Gyms. We'll pop up. We have multiple locations. It's all over everything. You can't miss it. I'm on Instagram, the original Conquer Ninja. But yeah, you just look up Conquer Ninja Gyms. We're all over.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure to put everything in the show notes. And you have a YouTube channel, I understand. Is that right? Yep,
YouTube a lot. So yeah, with that said, a lot of our content on YouTube, we're going to be putting more content related to everything Ninja Gym related. A lot
Mhm.
of our stuff currently is just past events we've done. We do all types of competitions. We've put over 40 people on 40 kids or adults on the actual show American Ninja Warrior and
Oh,
American Ninja Warrior Junior. So you can find all kinds of stuff online. If you put in Conquer Ninja Gyms, you'll find it.
super cool. Well, I can tell you as a parent, as a customer, you've got a really special product out there. So if you're listening and you have kids in the area, go find Conquer Ninja Gyms. You won't be
Absolutely.
disappointed. Awesome. Thanks so much, Jake. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Well, that wraps it up. Thank you so much for listening. If you're new around here, please be sure to leave us a review on any podcast platform you're listening to. And you can always reach out to me to let me know what topics you're interested in hearing about, or maybe telling me someone you think would be great for the show. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at EfficiencyBee. Until next time, see ya!